Chapter 1. The Invasion Begins. The sky tore apart with a sound like a million shards of glass being ground to dust. Alex Carter stumbled, narrowly avoiding a falling street lamp as the alien fleet descended upon the city. It was as if the heavens themselves had been peeled back, revealing the malevolent force behind the clouds. His heart raced, each beat pounding in his ears louder than the guttural roars echoing from above. "Alex!" A panicked voice screamed from behind him. He turned to see Emily, his little sister, hair plastered to her face, eyes wide with terror. Alex lunged forward, grabbing her hand and pulling her towards the shelter of a nearby building. The streets were a chaos of shrieking civilians, overturned cars, and the thunder of alien weaponry. "What are those things?" Emily gasped, her voice trembling. Alex didn't have an answer. All he knew was that moments earlier, he had been in his workshop, tinkering with a prototype engine when the unthinkable happened. A blinding white light, followed by a series of explosions, had sent the city into disarray. "We need to find Mom and Dad," he said, gripping her hand tighter. They were at the other end of town. Emily nodded, her face pale but resolute. Together they darted through the streets, ducking behind wreckage and dodging falling debris. Buildings that once stood tall were now reduced to rubble, and familiar landmarks were unrecognizable amidst the destruction. As they turned down a narrow alley, Alex noticed something peculiar. A shimmering veil of light hung in the air, a faint, almost invisible barrier that seemed to pulse with energy. Instinctively, he reached out to touch it, but before his fingers could make contact, a figure emerged from the shadows. "Don't touch that," the figure warned, stepping closer. "It'll vaporize you in an instant." The man was tall, with a thin, whip-like frame and eyes that seemed to pierce through Alex. He wore a makeshift uniform, cobbled together from various materials scavenged from the ruins. "Who are you?" Alex demanded, pulling Emily closer. "The name's Morgan," the stranger replied. "I'm part of the Resistance." "Resistance? But the invasion just started!" Emily exclaimed, her voice wavering between hope and disbelief. Morgan shook his head. "We've known about them for months, been preparing in secret, but they hit a lot sooner and harder than we anticipated." Alex felt a surge of anger mixed with a sliver of hope. "If you've got a plan, we're in. We need to protect our family." Morgan studied them for a moment before nodding. "Follow me. There's someone you need to meet." They followed Morgan through a series of underground tunnels, emerging in a dimly lit basement packed with equipment and grim-faced survivors. In the center stood a woman with a commanding presence, her eyes scanning a series of monitors displaying real-time footage of the invasion. "This is Commander Hawk," Morgan introduced. "She leads the Resistance." Hawk turned, her gaze sharp and assessing. "Who are these?" "Alex and Emily Carter," Morgan replied. "Alex here is an engineer. Might come in handy." Hawk's eyes flickered with interest. "An engineer, you say? We could use all the brains we've got." Alex stepped forward, trying to mask the fear in his voice. "Just tell me what I need to do." Hawk nodded approvingly. "We need to disable their quantum gateways. Those are the barriers you saw outside. They're a key part of their infrastructure. Without them, we might just stand a chance." Alex's mind raced. Quantum gateways? He'd studied the theory, but had never seen one in action. Yet now, the fate of humanity might rest on his ability to understand and dismantle these alien technologies. "We've got an old lab nearby," Hawk continued. "You might find some useful tools there. Morgan will guide you." Alex nodded, feeling a sense of purpose forming amidst the chaos. As he and Emily followed Morgan back into the fray, he couldn't shake the realization that the battle ahead was far more significant than just saving his loved ones. It was about the survival of the human race, and he was determined to fight. Chapter 2. A Desperate Plan. The basement buzzed with frantic energy. The hum of makeshift generators intertwined with the voices of men and women deep in discussion. A large table was strewn with blueprints, electronic components, and hastily scribbled notes. Monitors along the walls displayed grim scenes from across the globe, cities in ruins, military forces overwhelmed, and the sky dominated by the alien fleet. "Focus, people," Commander Hawk commanded, her voice cutting through the din. "Time is not on our side." Alex stepped forward, gripping a wrench so tightly his knuckles turned white. He had barely had a moment to process the sheer scale of the devastation, but the urgency of the situation left no room for doubt. The resistance was humanity's last hope. Alex, Hawk called, motioning him over. This is Dr. Elena Martinez, one of our lead scientists. Dr. Martinez, a woman with streaks of gray in her hair and sharp, white, intelligent eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, extended her hand. Alex, I've heard you're quite the engineer. He shook her hand firmly. I'll do whatever it takes. Good, she replied, because what we need is nothing short of a miracle. Morgan, who had been hovering nearby, spoke up. We need to build a counterweapon, something that can disrupt their quantum gateways. We've been working on theories, but the practical applications have been challenging. Martinez nodded. The quantum gateways appear to be their primary method of reinforcement and communication. If we can disable them, we could halt their advance and possibly turn the tide. Alex's mind raced, grappling with complex calculations and designs. What exactly do you need me to do? Martinez led him to a smaller table where a rudimentary device lay partially assembled. This is the prototype of a quantum disruptor. Its fundamental principle is to destabilize the energy matrix of their gateways. We've been working with limited resources, but I believe with your skills, we can make it operational. Alex studied the device, recognizing the potential, but also the flaws. We need more power, and the calibration is off by a fraction of a degree. Exactly, Martinez said, a spark of hope in her eyes. I knew you'd see the problems right away. We've managed to secure some high-energy cells, but integrating them without causing an overload has proven difficult. Alex rolled up his sleeves, already mentally dismantling and reconstructing the device. Okay, let's get to work. We'll need to stabilize the core and recalibrate the emitters. Can you pull up the schematics for me? As Alex and Martinez dove into their task, the underground hideout felt like it pulsed with a renewed sense of purpose. Hours blurred into each other as Alex painstakingly fine-tuned the disruptor, swapping out components and reconfiguring circuits. Emily hovered nearby, offering an extra hand or a word of encouragement, her presence a steady anchor amidst the whirlwind of activity. Alex, she whispered during a brief lull, do you think this will work? He paused, wiping sweat from his brow. I don't know, Emily, but we have to try. It's the only chance we've got. Just as fatigue threatened to set in, a shout from one of the monitors caught everyone's attention. We've got incoming! The room fell silent. The largest screen showed a swarm of alien fighters descending upon their location. Hawk sprang into action. All non-essential personnel, evacuate immediately. Combat teams, to your positions. Morgan handed Alex a small comlink. Keep this on you. We can't afford to lose contact. As resistance fighters scrambled to defend their base, Alex turned back to the task at hand. We're almost there, he said to Martinez, the urgency in his voice clearer than ever. Just a few more adjustments. Minutes felt like hours as the device neared completion. The sounds of battle drew closer, echoing through the concrete walls. Finally, with a last twist of a connector and a flick of a switch, the machine hummed to life. It's working, Martinez whispered, almost in disbelief. Now let's see if it can do what it's supposed to, Alex said, his voice tight with determination. Suddenly, the doorway burst open and a group of alien soldiers poured into the room. Pure instinct drove Alex to grab the disruptor. He aimed it at the nearest gateway emitter the invaders had established and pressed the trigger. A pulse of blinding energy surged from the device, intersecting with the alien technology. For a heartbeat, everything seemed to stand still. Then, in a brilliant flash, the gateway shattered, the aliens disrupted and thrown into disarray. The resistance fighters rallied, driving back the invaders with renewed ferocity. Hawk's voice cut through the commotion. Fall back! Regroup! As the dust settled, Alex felt the weight of what had just happened. They had succeeded, if only for a moment. But that moment might just be the turning point humanity desperately needed. One gateway down, Hawk said, placing a hand on Alex's shoulder, but many more to go. Alex nodded, looking at the disruptor, a sense of hope burning in his chest. We'll take them down, one by one, until the last of them falls. And with that, the true battle for Earth's survival had only just begun. Chapter 3: Deep in Enemy Territory. The cold wind whipped through the abandoned city streets as Alex tightened his grip on the assault rifle slung across his chest. He glanced at his team. Morgan, who had guided him through the Resistance's labyrinth, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, a seasoned soldier with eyes that missed nothing, and Dr. Elena Martinez, the scientist turned field operative. Each wore the same determined expression, fully aware of the monumental risk they were about to undertake. Remember, Hawk had briefed them, intelligence is key. We need to understand their technology, their command structure. Infiltrate the flagship, gather what you can, and get out. Failure is not an option. The memory of Hawk's words burned in Alex's mind as they approached the makeshift launch site. A stolen alien craft stood waiting, its sleek, unfamiliar design a testament to the other's technological superiority. The team had spent days learning to pilot the vessel, each movement a delicate balance between mastering the controls and fearing instant detection. "We're ready?" Morgan asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Let's go," Alex replied, trying to mask the unease gnawing at his gut. He had never been this far from the ground, this close to the enemy. They climbed into the alien craft, sealing the hatch behind them. Alex took the helm, his fingers dancing over the controls. The ship powered up with a hum, its systems responding to his touch as if he had been born to fly it. "We're in the air," Sarah reported from the navigation station. "Keep it steady and stick to the approach vector." The city below shrank away, replaced by the dark expanse of the sky. Ahead, the flagship loomed, an ominous silhouette against the horizon. The closer they got, the more its enormity became apparent. It was a mobile fortress, bristling with weapons and defenses. "Remember, no unnecessary risks," Martinez reminded them. "We need data, not heroics." The ship's cloaking system masked their approach, allowing them to slip past the initial perimeter. It was a tense flight, each minute feeling like an eternity. Finally, they reached a docking port, and Alex skillfully brought the craft into land. "Let's move," Morgan said, his voice steady. "We've got an hour tops before our cloaking wears off." They disembarked, finding themselves in a dimly lit corridor, the air thick with a sterile, metallic scent. The oppressive silence was broken only by the thrum of the flagship's core. "Split up," Sarah ordered. "Alex, Martinez and I will head to the data core. Morgan, you secure the escape route." Alex nodded, lightly touching the small pouch at his belt where he kept his tools. He took the lead, guided by the schematic blueprints they had pieced together from various intelligence reports. Every step they took felt like a step deeper into the beast's belly. They reached the data core without incident, a cavernous room filled with pulsating lights and alien terminals. The air was colder here, the hum of machinery almost deafening. Martinez immediately set to work, her fingers flying over the strange interfaces. "Keep an eye out," she muttered. "I need a few minutes." Alex and Sarah positioned themselves at the entrance, rifles at the ready. Time seemed to drag, every second stretching into an eternity. "Got it," Martinez finally said, holding a small storage device. "This has everything we need: blueprints, tactical schematics, even communication records." A sudden clang echoed through the corridor, followed by the unmistakable sound of alien footsteps. Alex's heart raced. "We need to go now." They sprinted through the corridors, retracing their steps. But it was clear the aliens knew they were there. The ship was coming alive, alarms blaring, lights flashing. "Hold them off!" Morgan's voice crackled over the comlink. "I'm almost to the ship." Sarah and Alex took positions at a junction, laying down cover fire as waves of alien soldiers advanced. The air was thick with smoke and the acrid smell of energy weapons discharging. "Go!" Sarah yelled as Martinez squeezed through a narrowing gap. "I'll cover you." Alex hesitated, the thought of leaving Sarah behind clawing at his conscience, but he knew she was right. Another burst of alien fire jolted him to his senses. "Morgan, we're pinned. We need extraction now." Alex shouted into the comlink, desperation edging his voice. "Roger that. Give me 30 seconds," Morgan replied, the sound of the ship's engines revving up audible through the comms. "Now, Alex," Sarah roared, her voice cutting through the chaos. With a final burst of speed, they reached the docking bay. The alien craft hovered, Morgan at the controls, returning fire to cover their escape. Alex helped Martinez scramble aboard, then turned to see Sarah retreating under heavy fire. "Come on," he yelled, his hand outstretched. Sarah gritted her teeth and leaped, Alex catching her arm and pulling her aboard just as Morgan slammed the hatch shut. "We got it all?" Morgan asked, steering the ship away from the flagship. Martinez held up the storage device, a look of grim determination on her face. We got it. As they sped away from the enemy territory, Alex felt a mix of exhaustion and relief. They had done the impossible, but the data they carried was only the beginning. The real fight was yet to come, and he knew that each of them would have to confront their fears, doubts, and limits if humanity was to prevail. And so, with the alien flagship dwindling in the distance, the small team of battered but resolute resistance fighters returned to Earth, bearing the seeds of a desperate hope. Chapter 4: Allies and Enemies. The resistance base buzzed with activity as Alex, Sarah, Morgan, and Martinez returned, their faces etched with the grit and exhaustion of their perilous mission. Commander Hawk was there to greet them, her piercing gaze scanning each member for injuries before zeroing in on the small storage device in Martinez's hand. "Did you get it?" she asked, a twinge of desperate hope in her voice. Martinez nodded. "We got everything. Blueprints, tactical data, even communication logs." "Good work," Hawk said, a rare smile crossing her face. "Let's debrief and analyze the data. Every second counts." Alex and his team followed Hawk into the debriefing room, the walls lined with maps, screens, and an assemblage of resistant fighters. The room quieted as Martinez uploaded the data, a flurry of information spilling onto the screens. "This is going to change everything," Martinez whispered, more to herself than anyone else. An analyst began parsing through the data when a sudden, unexpected alarm blared. Red lights flashed, and the base went into immediate lockdown. "What's happening?" Alex asked, eyes scanning the room frantically. Before anyone could answer, the comm system crackled to life. "Unknown entities detected in Sector 3, the voice reported. "Approaching the main entry." "Get ready," Hawk ordered, grabbing her weapon. It could be another attack, or worse, a breach. The team hurried to the main entry, the tension thick in the air. Positions were taken, weapons primed, and hearts pounded as alien figures emerged from the shadows. But these weren't the sleek, ruthless invaders they'd been fighting. They looked different, disheveled, war-worn, and oddly hesitant. One stepped forward, raising a hand in a gesture of peace. It spoke in a halting, computerized translation. "We mean no harm." Hawk didn't lower her weapon. "Identify yourselves." The alien hesitated before responding. "We're rebels, against the Dominion. We seek alliance." The tension in the air was palpable as everyone processed the alien's words. Alex glanced at Martinez, who nodded subtly. They had to hear them out. "Why should we trust you?" Hawk demanded, her skepticism evident. "Because survival," the alien replied simply. "Dominion, not invincible. With alliance, we can fight." A murmur rippled through the resistance fighters. Allies among the enemy ranks? It seemed too good to be true, yet here they were, risking their lives to make contact. "Stand down," Hawk finally ordered, motioning for her team to lower their weapons. She turned to the alien. "You have 5 minutes to explain." The alien nodded. "Call me Vireth. We oppose Dominion, forced to fight. Saw your courage, ingenuity. Seek partnership." As Vreth spoke, explaining the internal factions and political turmoil within their ranks, Alex felt a glimmer of something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. The idea of disgruntled factions within the enemy lines presented a unique opportunity. "We need proof," Sarah interjected, eyes sharp. "If you're lying, it could mean all our deaths." Vreth nodded. "Understand. Will. Provide. Coordinates to Dominion's next target. You will see." Hawk crossed her arms, weighing the situation. "All right, Vireth, we'll verify your intel. But know this, if this is a trap, it won't end well for you." "Understood," Vreth replied, stepping back. The meeting adjourned. The team split into groups to verify Vireth's claims. Hours passed in tense silence, everyone on edge. When the scouts finally returned, their faces bore grim confirmation. "He's telling the truth," one of the scouts reported. "The coordinates lead to a Dominion strike force. They're planning to hit one of our outposts." Hawk turned to Vreth. "Looks like you're one of us now, but this doesn't mean we trust you yet." "Trust earned," Vireth responded. "Work together." As the uneasy alliance began to take shape, Alex found himself face to face with Vireth. "Why risk so much to help us?" he asked. The alien's eyes met his, an unexpected depth of emotion within. "Dominion destroys everything, including own kind. Want a future. Your resilience. Inspiring." Alex nodded, understanding that, in the end, they were all fighting for survival and something more, a chance to build a future free from tyranny. Days turned into nights, and the newfound alliance faced countless trials. Tensions flared, mistrust simmered, but amidst the chaos, small moments of understanding began to bridge the divide. They shared stories, strategies, and dreams of a world where fear no longer ruled. As the team prepared for their next mission, infiltrating another key Dominion installation, Alex felt a cautious optimism. The road ahead was fraught with danger, but for the first time since the invasion began, they weren't fighting alone. Allies among enemies, hope among despair. Humanity's survival hung in the balance, and none of them intended to let it slip away. They had forged an unlikely partnership, and with it, they would face the future, whatever it held, together. Chapter 5: The Quantum Breakthrough. Alex barely had time to catch his breath before he was summoned back to the lab. Hawk's message was terse but urgent. The scientists had made a critical discovery. He sprinted through the maze of tunnels beneath their base, heart pounding not just from exertion, but from anticipation. Could this be the breakthrough they desperately needed? Bursting into the lab, he found Dr. Martinez, Dr. Zhao, and several other key scientists huddled around a central console. The air was electric with excitement and tension. Graphs, equations, and data streams filled the screens, creating a dazzling, confusing array of information. Hawk said you found something, Alex said, trying to steady his breathing. Dr. Martinez looked up, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of exhaustion and triumph. Alex, we've cracked part of the alien technology code. It's all based on quantum mechanics. What's new about that? Alex asked, still catching up. Dr. Zhao stepped forward, pointing to a complex series of waveforms and particle interactions displayed on the main monitor. What we've discovered is not just the foundation of their technology, but a potentially critical weakness. Their systems rely on something we're calling quantum resonance harmonics. If we can disrupt the resonances at key points, we might be able to disable their tech altogether. Alex's mind raced. How do we achieve that? Martinez gestured to another device on the workbench, sleek and alien in design, but modified with human technology. We're calling it the Quantum Disruptor. It's an evolution of the disruptor you helped create, but far more sophisticated. It can target and disrupt their quantum harmonics at a fundamental level. And you're sure this will work? Alex asked, his skepticism battling with hope. We need to test it in the field, Martinez replied, but if our calculations are correct, it could give us a significant advantage. Just then, a series of explosions rocked the underground base. The ceiling trembled, and dust cascaded from above. Here they come, Morgan shouted, appearing in the doorway. We're under attack. Hawk needs everyone on defense. Not yet, Martinez said, grabbing Alex's arm. You need to take this to Commander Hawk. We need to deploy it immediately. Alex nodded, taking the prototype disruptor and securing it. I'm on it. The base was a flurry of activity as he made his way through, resistance fighters scrambling to their posts. Explosions and the screams of combat echoed down the corridors, a grim reminder of the stakes at hand. Alex, Hawk's voice called from a barricade near the entrance. What's the news? He thrust the disruptor into her hands. We have a new weapon, Quantum Disruptor. It can target the alien's tech directly, disable it. Hawk's eyes widened as she inspected the device. Can we deploy it now? Before Alec could answer, Vareth approached, his alien form still jarring amidst the chaos. I can help, know their systems, can guide deployment. Do it, Hawk said without hesitation. We're running out of time. With Vareth's guidance, they quickly set up the disruptor at a strategic point in the base. Morgan and Sarah covered them, fending off waves of alien soldiers. The air sizzled with energy blasts, and the ground shook from nearby impacts. Almost there, Vareth said, calibrating the device with expert ease. Ready. Activate it, Hawk ordered. Alex pressed the trigger, and a pulse of energy radiated from the disruptor, sweeping through the air and resonating with the alien technology. The effect was immediate. Alien weapons fizzled, their energy shields flickered and died, and the invaders themselves stumbled, momentarily disoriented. It's working, Sarah shouted, a note of triumph in her voice. Push them back. The tide of battle turned. The resistance fighters, reinvigorated by their sudden advantage, launched a counterattack. Alex watched as the aliens, once an unstoppable force, now struggled to maintain their footing. It was a sight he had scarcely dared to hope for. As the last of the invaders retreated, a cheer went up among the resistance, a rare, genuine moment of victory. Hawk turned to Alex, her face a mask of determination tempered with hope. "This changes everything," she said. "But this is just the beginning. We need to mass-produce these disruptors and take the fight to them." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of the task ahead. "One step at a time," he replied. "We'll turn this around." Vreth approached, a rare expression of what Alex interpreted as gratitude on his alien features. "Your tenacity, inspiring. Together, we can win." Alex extended his hand and Vreth clasped it in a gesture of mutual respect. The alliance, once fragile and tentative, now felt solid and real. They had faced the enemy and found a way to fight back, but the true challenge lay ahead. As the sun set on a battered but hopeful resistance base, Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose. The quantum breakthrough had given them a fighting chance, and he was determined to see it through to the end. Together, they would face whatever came next, turning the invaders' own technology against them and reclaiming their world, step by step. Chapter 6: Betrayal from Within. The victory had brought a fleeting sense of relief to the resistance base, but whispers of unease lingered in the air. Alex couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He carried the weight of the quantum disruptor's success, which had elevated his status but also painted a target on his back. Late one night, as he pored over new schematics in the lab, he heard hushed voices outside. Curiosity and caution pulled him to the door. Peering through the narrow crack, he saw Morgan in a heated exchange with Dr. Zhao. "Do you know what you're risking?" Morgan hissed, his face contorted with anger. "More than you could comprehend," Dr. Zhao snapped back. "The stakes are higher than any of you realize." Alex's heart skipped a beat. He quickly retreated, his mind racing. What were they arguing about? There was a sense of urgency in their words that he couldn't ignore. The conversation ended abruptly, and Alex slipped back to his workstation as footsteps approached. Moments later, Morgan entered, his expression hardened. "You okay?" Alex asked, trying to sound casual. "Yeah, just high tension," Morgan replied, but his eyes betrayed a storm of emotions. Alex nodded, though his mind buzzed with questions. After Morgan left, Alex decided he needed answers. He made his way to Dr. Martinez's quarters. "Elena, we need to talk," Alex said, rapping on her door. Martinez opened it, her face lined with fatigue. "What's going on, Alex?" He explained what he overheard. Martinez listened intently, her brow furrowing as he spoke. "We need to tread carefully," she said. "If there's something more going on, it could jeopardize everything." Alex and Martinez devised a plan to discreetly monitor the base. They started observing Morgan and Dr. Zhao, noting their interactions and movements. Days passed, the clandestine surveillance adding another layer of tension to the already strained atmosphere. One evening, while hiding in a maintenance corridor, Alex overheard a conversation between Dr. Zhao and someone on a secure comlink. "The plans are in motion," Zhao was saying. "Soon, very soon." A chill ran down Alex's spine. He had to act, but needed undeniable proof. He watched as Zhao returned to his quarters, then met with Martinez. "It's worse than we thought," he told her, "but we need to catch him red-handed." The next day, Alex and Martinez installed hidden cameras and recording devices in Dr. Zhao's quarters. By nightfall, they had the evidence they needed. Dr. Zhao was feeding information to a faction within the alien forces, possibly those still loyal to the Dominion, and plotting to sabotage the resistance efforts from within. Armed with the recordings, Alex and Martinez approached Commander Hawk. "We have evidence of Zhao's betrayal," Alex said, playing the incriminating recordings. Hawk's face turned to stone as she listened. "This could destroy us," she said, voice tight with anger. "And if there's one, there could be more." "I'll handle it," Alex said. "We need to root this out without causing panic." That night, an emergency meeting was convened, with Hawk, Alex, Martinez, and Sarah. They laid out the evidence before Morgan was summoned. When Morgan walked into the room, his expression wary, Hawk confronted him directly. "Morgan, are you aware of Dr. Zhao's treachery?" Morgan's face darkened and he nodded slowly. "I suspected, but had no proof. I tried to confront him." "Why didn't you inform us?" Sarah demanded. Morgan sighed. "I thought I could handle it. I didn't want to draw attention if I was wrong." Hawk nodded reluctantly. "This is our next mission. We need to capture Dr. Zhao and any accomplices quietly." Alex and his team, along with a security detail, moved swiftly. They approached Dr. Zhao's quarters under the cover of darkness. Bursting in, they found him typing frantically, trying to erase his digital trail. "It's over, Zhao," Alex said coldly. "We have everything." Zhao's eyes widened, fear and defiance blending as he was restrained. "You don't understand," he spat. They promised us a future." Betrayal burned in Alex's gut as they took Zhao to a secured holding area. The base was put on high alert, and screenings were conducted to root out any remaining traitors. One by one, those complicit in Zhao's plot were found, tried, and confined. It was a bitter victory, one that came at the cost of trust and unity. But as the last of the traitors were secured, the resistance emerged more vigilant and resolute. In the aftermath, Alex and his team faced the somber reality of their situation. Trust had been fractured, but the fight had to continue. With the quantum disruptor and the newfound knowledge of internal threats, they were more determined than ever. Hawk summarized it best in a meeting afterward. "We face enemies on all fronts, even within, but we are stronger, smarter, and we will adapt. We cannot afford to fail." As Alex walked through the base, he felt the weight of his responsibilities and the fragility of their hope. But he also felt something he hadn't before, an unyielding resolve to protect humanity's last chance at survival. The betrayal had been a harsh lesson, but it had also fortified their resolve. They would move forward, ever more cautiously and ever more united, the flickering flame of hope burning brighter in the darkness. Chapter 7: Turning the Tables. The resistance base was a hive of activity as the countdown to their counterattack began. Engineers worked tirelessly, fine-tuning the quantum disruptors and retrofitting them into every available ship and weapon. Strategists pored over maps and data, plotting precise points to strike. The air buzzed with anticipation, fear, and a glimmer of hope. Alex stood at the center of it all, his mind racing through calculations and plans. The quantum disruptor was their ace, designed to cripple the aliens' advanced technology and level the playing field. The plan was audacious, almost reckless, but it was their best shot. "Everyone ready?" Hawk asked, stepping into the room where the core team had gathered. Sarah tightened her grip on her rifle. "As will ever be." Morgan nodded. "Let's take the fight to them." Vreth approached, his alien visage calm but intense. "We are prepared," he said, the words carrying a weight of determination. Alex nodded, feeling a tightness in his chest. The stakes had never been higher. "Let's do this," he said, meeting each team member's gaze. The fleet of resistance ships lifted off from hidden bases around the globe, their destinations carefully synchronized. The flagship of the human assault force, bristling with quantum disruptors, led the charge. They had no room for error. It was all or nothing. "We're approaching the first target," the navigator announced, eyes fixed on the coordinates blipping on the screen. Alex, seated in the command center, monitored the readouts. "Initiate disruptor sequence," he instructed. "On my mark." The flagship cut through the atmosphere, piercing the clouds with a trail of energy. Ahead, an alien command ship loomed, its dark silhouette a menacing reminder of the invaders' dominance. "Mark!" Alex shouted. The quantum disruptors activated, sending out pulses of destabilizing energy. The alien ship shuddered, its shields flickered, and its weapons went dark. It was a moment of pure electric tension. "Direct hit," Sarah confirmed. "They're vulnerable." The resistance fleet pounced. Missiles and railgun fire targeted the now exposed alien command ship. Explosions rippled through its hull as human forces exploited every weakness. Across the globe, coordinated strikes echoed the success. Each quantum disruptor pulse disabled another segment of the alien fleet. Once mighty ships faltered, falling prey to human resilience and ingenuity. "We're not out of the woods yet," Morgan reminded over the comms. "Keep your eyes open for retaliatory strikes." Alex's mind was a whirlwind, balancing the exhilaration of turning the tables with the grim reality that the battle was far from over. He monitored the data streams, searching for any signs of a trap. "Incoming transmission from Neptune Base," the comms officer reported. "They need immediate assistance." Alex's pulse quickened. "Sarah, take a squadron and head there. We can't lose control of our strategic positions." "On it," Sarah replied, rallying her team and speeding off to the beleaguered base. Hours bled into an unending barrage of skirmishes, ambushes, and retreats. The resistance fought with ferocity and cunning, striking hard and fast at the heart of the alien fleet. For every ship they lost, two more took up the fight, fueled by the knowledge that they were finally pushing back. "Morgan, cover our flank," Alex commanded over the comlink as his ship charged through a debris field, pursued by a trio of alien fighters. "Roger that," came Morgan's calm reply, unleashing a volley of counterfire that decimated the alien pursuers. Alex charged forward, guiding his ship closer to the alien mothership, the primary target. If they could take it down, it would cripple the enemy command structure, creating chaos and confusion among their ranks. "Hawk, prepping a quantum disruptor burst aimed at the mothership," Alex announced. "Are we clear for final assault?" Hawk's voice crackled over the line, filled with both tension and leadership. "Make it count, Alex. This is our shot." The mothership's defenses hummed to life, torrents of plasma and energy rays crisscrossing the battlefield. But with each disruptor pulse, parts of the behemoth's shield flickered and died. "Fire everything we have," Alex ordered, his voice hard as steel. The final explosive barrage lit up the sky. The quantum disruptor pulses pierced the mothership's core, chain reactions sparking internal explosions. "Pull back! It's gonna blow," Alex yelled as the colossal alien ship began to disintegrate. The resistance fleet retreated, their view screens filled with the spectacular fiery collapse of the mothership. Shards of alien technology rained down, the once indomitable force reduced to ruins. Cheers erupted across the comm channels, a sound that reverberated with a mix of triumph and relief. They had done it. "We did it," Alex said, almost to himself, the words tasting both foreign and profound. Hawk's voice cut through the jubilation. "Excellent work, everyone. Rally back to base. We need to regroup and plan our next steps." The battle was won, but the war raged on. As they returned to their hidden sanctuaries, there was a palpable sense of momentum. Humanity was no longer on the defensive. They had struck a decisive blow and proved that they could fight back. Vareth approached Alex once more, the alien's expression one of deep respect. "Together, we achieved the impossible." Alex nodded, feeling a camaraderie that transcended species and history. "This is just the beginning. Let's finish this." With their newfound weapon and relentless spirit, humanity had turned the tables. It was a dawn of a new chapter, one where they held the means to fight and the will to win. And Alex knew they would push forward, driven by the unyielding desire for freedom and survival. Chapter 8: The Sacrifice. The resistance base was a tumultuous blend of celebration and tension. Reports of victories flooded in, but so did the grim news of casualties. Alex stood in the heart of the command center, surrounded by screens flashing both triumph and loss. The weight of every life lost hung heavy over his shoulders. "Alex," Sarah called, her face taut with subdued grief. "We need you in the strategy room." Nodding, Alex followed her, passing by clusters of resistance fighters, some cheering, others mourning. In the strategy room, Commander Hawk, Morgan, Martinez, and Vireth awaited him, their expressions grim. "We've dealt the aliens a significant blow," Hawk began, "but intelligence indicates they're regrouping for a counterattack. They're aiming to wipe us out in one decisive strike." Martinez pointed to a holographic map, highlighting a key location. "This is their central command point. If we can hit it, we can disrupt their entire operation." "But there's a catch," Morgan interjected. "The place is a fortress. Any assault team we send in won't make it back." Silence fell over the room. The cost of their recent victories was already steep, and now they were discussing a mission with a near-certain death sentence. Alex broke the silence. "I'll go." "Alex, no," Sarah said, shaking her head. "We need you here. You've become a symbol for everyone." "That's exactly why I must go." Alex countered, his voice firm. "This fight needs more than a symbol. It needs actions and sacrifices that prove our resolve." Hawk studied Alex, seeing the determination in his eyes. "If you go, you won't go alone. This mission requires precision. If we want any chance of success, we need our best." "I'll go too," Morgan said. "I have the technical expertise to dismantle their systems. We need to plant a quantum disruptor at the heart of their operations." "Count me in." Sarah added, "We've come this far together. We'll see it through to the end." Vreth stepped forward, his alien presence now a familiar pillar of support. "I will accompany, guide you." With the team assembled, Preparations moved quickly. Every step, every plan had to be perfect. As they geared up for what could be their final mission, the weight of their choice bore down on each of them. Moments before departure, Alex found a quiet corner to contact Emily. Her voice crackled over the comms, youthful but strong. "Alex, what's going on? I heard rumors." "I'm heading out on a mission," he said softly, trying to mask the finality in his tone. "I don't know if I'll be back." "Come on, don't talk like that," Emily replied, her voice catching. "You always come back." "If I don't," Alex continued, "you have to stay strong. Lead them. You're braver than you know." There was a long pause, then a choked, "I will. Just come back, okay?" "I'll do my best," Alex promised, ending the call with a heavy heart. The mission commenced under the cover of darkness. The team infiltrated the alien stronghold using a combination of stealth and brute force, evading detection with Vareth's guidance and the disruptive pulses of their modified tech. They reached the core of the command point, a cavernous room filled with alien consoles and shimmering energy fields. Morgan quickly set to work, placing the quantum disruptor at the key juncture. "It's ready," Morgan whispered. "We need to hold them off until it's fully charged." The sound of approaching footfalls echoed through the chamber. The aliens had discovered their presence. A fierce battle erupted, the small team holding the line against overwhelming odds. "We're almost out of time," Morgan shouted over the din, his hands moving frantically over the controls. A warning flashed on Alex's visor. Enemy reinforcements were closing in fast. They couldn't hold much longer. "Fall back," he ordered, but even as he said it, he knew not all of them would make it. Sarah took a direct hit, collapsing to the ground with a grimace of pain. Alex rushed to her side, but she pushed him away. "Go! Finish this." Morgan sealed the disruptor's final setup. "Done. It's all set." "Then get out of here," Alex said. "Tell everyone, we did it." But as they started to retreat, an enormous alien figure blocked their path. Vreth stepped forward. "I will stay to delay." "No, Vreth," Alex shouted, but the alien's resolve was clear. "Go. For our future," Vreth insisted, turning to face the enemy with determination. With a heavy heart, Alex led Morgan through the winding corridors back to their extraction point. Explosions and the sounds of combat followed them, a stark reminder of their sacrificed friends. As they reached the ship, Morgan turned to Alex. "We can still go back for them. We'd only die with them," Alex replied, his voice hollow. "We made our choice. Let's make sure it wasn't in vain." The quantum disruptor's countdown reached 0 as their ship sped away. The ensuing explosion rippled through the alien command center, shaking the very foundations of the enemy's plans. As they returned to base, the weight of their losses settled in. Silence greeted them, a shared grief for the fallen and admiration for their sacrifice. Hawk addressed the assembled fighters. "Today, we've taken a crucial step, but it came at a cost. Let's honor their sacrifice by continuing the fight they believed in." Alex stood among them, knowing his choice would leave scars. The decision to sacrifice valued team members was an agony that wouldn't fade, but it had to be made. Their legacy would fuel the resistance, inspiring the remaining fighters to push harder, strike faster, and never give up. The shockwaves of their actions were felt throughout the resistance. Leaders emerged to fill the void, strategies evolved, and the fight against the alien invaders intensified with renewed vigor. Alex's decision had defined his character, marking a turning point in the war. In the end, it was a harsh reminder that freedom demanded sacrifice, and those willing to give it all paved the path to victory. With heavy hearts and steadfast resolve, humanity marched forward, ever closer to reclaiming their world. Chapter 9. The Alien Perspective. Deep within the bowels of the massive alien mothership, the halls hummed with a low, constant energy. Sleek and cold, the architecture reflected a civilization rooted in technological superiority and relentless order. In a vast chamber adorned with holographic displays, high-ranking officials of the Dominion gathered, their features concealed by heavy robes and elaborate headgear. At the center stood Zalthar, the supreme commander of the Dominion fleet. His eyes, sharp and calculating, scanned the data streaming across the displays. His people had dominated numerous worlds, consuming resources and subjugating species in their path. Yet something felt different about this latest conquest. "Those humans," Zalthar said, his voice tinged with a trace of frustration. "They resist with an unexpected ferocity. Our initial assessment underestimated their resolve. Another figure, slender and with a soft, luminescent glow, stepped forward. It was Vizara, the Dominion's chief strategist. Their defiance is formidable, but not insurmountable. They have developed a technology that disrupts our quantum resonance harmonics. This innovation has given them a temporary advantage. Zalthar's expression darkened. Temporary, yes, but it indicates a deeper understanding of our systems than we anticipated. A low murmur of agreement spread among the officials. Intrigued by humanity's resilience, they began to discuss potential strategies to counter the newfound threat. Vizara projected a holographic map of Earth, highlighting hotspots of resistance activity. We must disrupt their command structure, Vizara advised. Target their leaders and critical infrastructure, instill fear and disorder among their ranks. A third figure, imposing and adorned with battle scars, interjected. General Krex, head of the ground forces, was known for his ruthless efficiency. We need to understand their psychology. Their leaders are driven by more than mere survival. There's something intrinsic that fuels their defiance. Zalthar considered Krex's words. Infiltration. We need inside knowledge of their motives, their weaknesses. This will require more than brute force. A soldier, distinctly different from the others, stepped forward. It was Vareth, recently aligned with the resistance, but still maintaining a communication link with his own kind. His presence had been concealed from the humans, but now the time had come for him to play a crucial role within the Dominion. I have new information, Vareth said, his voice a calm contrast to the tense atmosphere. The humans' technological advancements are impressive, but their strength lies in their unity and willpower. They fight not just for survival, but for freedom, for their future. There was a moment of silence as the Dominion officials absorbed this revelation. To Zalthar, it was both fascinating and troubling. This intangible force, this spirit of resistance, was something the Dominion had never accounted for in their conquests. Then we must attack what they hold most dear, Zalthar concluded. We will exploit their vulnerabilities by understanding their drives and fears. Vizara nodded. Agreed. We should focus on psychological warfare alongside our physical assaults. As plans were set into motion, the officials dispersed, leaving Zalthar and Vareth alone in the chamber. You have an unusual perspective on these humans, Vareth, Zalthar remarked. Your insights have proven valuable. Tell me, do you believe their spirit of freedom can be broken? Vareth hesitated, a moment of internal conflict flickering across his features. The human spirit is resilient, but not invincible. With the right pressure, any will can be bent. Zalthar's gaze intensified. Good. Continue to provide us with intelligence. You are our key to understanding and ultimately overcoming this resistance. Vreth nodded and left the chamber, his loyalty a complex web. On one hand, he served the Dominion, but on the other, he had come to respect the humans and their unyielding resolve. The duality of his purpose left him unsettled, knowing his actions could either support a crushing Dominion or sow the seeds of freedom. Back on the mothership, Zalthar reflected on the broader picture. The Dominion had expanded across galaxies, subjugating countless species and laying waste to planets. They believed themselves to be invincible, omnipotent. Yet, these humans were proving to be a unique challenge, a testament to the unpredictable nature of the cosmos. As he gazed out at the stars, Zalthar pondered the true nature of strength. Was it in technological prowess and overwhelming force, or in the unbreakable spirit of a unified people? The coming days would test these theories as the Dominion prepared for the final confrontation with Earth. In the depths of the alien command, plans were laid, strategies devised, and a newfound understanding of the enemy took shape. The stage was set for a climactic battle, one that would determine the fate of both conquerors and defenders in an ancient struggle for dominance and survival. Chapter 10. The Climactic Battle. The sky was an inferno of fire and metal as the final battle began. Earth's forces clashed with the Dominion in a maelstrom of desperate courage and determination. Ships darted and weaved through the chaos, energy blasts lighting up the sky like fireworks turned deadly. The air crackled with the sounds of combat as the horizon burned with the vivid hues of war. Alex's heart hammered in his chest as he stood on the bridge of the Resistance flagship, the controls and screens before him a flurry of activity. The decision to lead the assault fell squarely on his shoulders, a mantle of responsibility he bore with equal parts dread and resolve. Sensors indicate the alien mothership is directly ahead, the navigator reported, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. All hands, prepare for engagement, Alex commanded, his voice resonating with authority forged from necessity. This is it. We take down that ship, or we perish trying. Sarah stood by his side, scarred but undeterred. We're with you, Alex, she said, her voice firm. For everyone we've lost, for everyone still fighting. Morgan's voice crackled over the comms. Quantum disruptors are primed and ready. Just give the word. Alex glanced at the central display, watching the Dominion mothership loom larger by the second. Mark those target points and coordinate with ground forces. This has to be precise. Vareth's form appeared on one of the side screens. Alex, remember their critical systems. Target navigation and weapons arrays first. Disorient them. Copy that, Vareth. Keep us updated on any changes. The fleet pressed forward, lines of ships advancing into the heart of the Dominion defense. Explosions bloomed around them, ships on both sides flaring and disintegrating in the all-consuming dance of battle. Amidst the frenetic cacophony, Alex focused on the objective. Give the order, Sarah said, her hand on his shoulder. We're all in this together. All units, fire at will, Alex commanded, his voice carrying the weight of Earth's last hope. The quantum disruptors unleashed their pulses, waves of energy cascading towards the alien mothership. Shields flickered, defenses wavered, and for a brief, glimmering moment, the impenetrable seemed vulnerable. Direct hit on their primary shields, the weapons officer reported, proceeding with the second wave. Another barrage erupted, this time aimed at the mothership's weapon arrays. The alien ship shuddered, its retaliatory fire momentarily disrupted. Keep the pressure on, Alex urged. We can't give them a moment to regroup. The Resistance's relentless assault pushed deeper into the Dominion ranks. Advanced fighters flanked the flagship, their coordinated maneuvers a testament to the unity and resolve that now defined humanity's fight. But victory came at a steep price. The smaller screens showed lives lost, ships disintegrating into nothingness. Each loss felt like a knife twisting in Alex's heart, but he couldn't afford to dwell on it. Suddenly, a series of alarms blared through the ship. Incoming enemy fighters from above. Morgan's urgent voice cut through the comlink. They're targeting our main engines. Divert power to rear shields, Alex ordered, gritting his teeth as the ship rocked with enemy fire. Sarah sprang into action, coordinating defensive maneuvers while Alex rerouted power and made quick adjustments to their trajectory. It was a ballet of survival, each move critical. Explosions lit up one of the side screens. Engine 1 is down, someone shouted. Alex clenched his fists. Keep us steady. We can't lose momentum now. Outside, the battle raged on. Ground forces fought tooth and nail, securing vital areas and planting subterranean quantum disruptors. On their screens, Alex saw Emily directing troops from a command post, her face steeled with the same determination he felt. She had taken up the mantle he hoped she'd never have to bear, and she wore it with grace and strength. Enemy contact on the main deck, a crew member reported. They're attempting to board. Sarah, organize a defense and repel those intruders, Alex commanded. Sarah charged out, her squadron following her with grim resolve. The sound of gunfire and clashing metal reverberated through the ship. Alex continued to steer their assault, his thoughts a whirlwind of strategy and survival. The battle was relentless. Sweat dripped down Alex's face as every decision felt like a tightrope walk between life and annihilation. Yet through the haze of combat, a singular resolve crystallized in his mind. This had to end, here and now, for the sake of every life entwined in this struggle. Quantum disruptors charged and ready for final deployment, Morgan's voice declared, initiating synchronization. All ships prepare for the final push. Alex roared into the comms. The Resistance fleet formed around their flagship, a phalanx of defiance cutting through the alien defenses. Together, they unleashed a coordinated barrage. The quantum disruptors pulsed in unison, targeting the very heart of the Dominion mothership. Time seemed to stretch as the final wave of energy surged forward. For a moment, the universe itself held its breath. Then, like a dam bursting, the alien mothership shuddered violently, its core imploding in a cascade of light and fire. Cheers erupted across the comm channels, a collective roar of triumph and relief. The alien fleet, now leaderless and disoriented, began to retreat, their once cohesive formation fracturing like glass. Alex collapsed back into his seat, exhaustion washing over him, but not before a fierce, determined grin spread across his face. "We did it," he whispered, the words almost surreal. Sarah returned, bloodied but victorious. "It's over," she said, tears mingling with the grime on her face. "No, Sarah," Alex said, standing tall despite the weariness. "This is just the beginning of a new era." The war was far from over, and countless battles awaited them. But for now, humanity had won a crucial victory. Alex had faced his demons, leading his people through the darkest of trials and emerging into a light of newfound hope. As the stars settled back into their rightful places, and the universe exhaled, a message echoed through the remnants of the battlefield. Earth would never surrender. The resistance had turned the tide, and together they would reclaim their future. In that fleeting moment between victory and the battles yet to come, the human spirit shone brightest, undying, and unyielding. Standing amidst the wreckage of war, Alex knew that their courage, their sacrifice, and their unity were their greatest weapons. And nothing could withstand the sheer force of a people determined to be free. Chapter 11: Unity and Triumph. The battle-scarred earth began to breathe again. The skies, though not yet clear of the smoke of war, held the promise of a new dawn. The remnants of alien machinery, once symbols of oppression, now lay in ruins, overtaken by the resilience of humanity. In the midst of this fragile peace stood Alex Carter. He had become more than an engineer. He was a beacon of hope, a living testament to the indomitable human spirit. Walking through the rebuilt sections of the resistance base, now transformed into a hub of reconstruction, Alex saw faces filled with determination and the flicker of something new, hope. "Alex!" Emily's voice called out, pulling him from his thoughts. He turned to see his sister, her face lit with a mixture of relief and pride. She threw her arms around him, and for a moment they stood in a silent embrace, a shared understanding passing between them. "We did it," she said softly, stepping back. "We really did it." "Yeah," Alex replied, a smile breaking through the exhaustion that still clung to him. "But now the real work begins." The war had left deep scars, but the process of healing had already started. Across the globe, survivors emerged from the shadows, joining hands to rebuild what had been broken. Old divisions began to blur as people realized that their shared struggle had forged an unbreakable bond. Commander Hawk stood at the center of a large meeting, surrounded by representatives from various human factions and a few of their former alien adversaries who had defected. Among them, standing silently and tall, was Vreth. "Today marks the beginning of our new chapter," Hawk said, her voice firm yet soft, addressing the gathering. "We have faced unimaginable odds and emerged victorious. But this triumph is not just about winning a war, it's about forging a future grounded in unity and cooperation." Alex watched as the crowd absorbed Hawk's words, the atmosphere brimming with optimism. Even those who had once been enemies now stood side by side, their differences overshadowed by a common goal. As Hawk stepped down from the podium, she approached Alex. "We're forming a reconstruction coalition," she said, her tone almost conversational, but carrying the weight of responsibility. "And we'd like you to lead the engineering division." Alex looked at her, surprised. "Me? Why?" "Because you've proven that you have what it takes," Hawk replied, "and because people need someone to inspire them, someone to show that anything is possible." He took a deep breath, the magnitude of the task daunting but not insurmountable. "All right," he said, determination settling in. "Let's rebuild this world." Days turned into weeks as the reconstruction efforts gained momentum. Alex and his team worked tirelessly, using salvaged alien technology to accelerate the process. Communities began to flourish once more, industries revived, and schools reopened. The scars of war began to fade, replaced by the signs of rebirth and renewal. One evening, as Alex walked through the bustling streets of a newly rebuilt city, he noticed a gathering in the central square. Curious, he approached, recognizing faces from the resistance and many he had yet to meet. Emily stood at the center, addressing the crowd. "Tonight, we celebrate not just the end of a dark chapter, but the beginning of a bright future," she declared, her voice carrying the confidence that came with hard-earned wisdom. We have shown that even in our darkest hours, we can find the light within ourselves and each other. The crowd erupted in applause, the joyous sound echoing off the buildings. Alex felt a swell of pride and hope as he looked out over faces filled with joy and determination. Emily noticed him and waved him over. "This is the man who made it all possible," she said, pulling him onto the makeshift stage. A true hero. Alex shook his head, humble but moved by the acknowledgement. "I'm just a part of this," he said into the microphone. "Every one of you played a role. We did this together." Another round of applause filled the air, and as Alex looked out over the reclaimed city, he saw the future, one built on unity, resilience, and unyielding hope. The alien threat had been neutralized, but it was the spirit of humanity that had truly triumphed. In the following months, alliances were strengthened and trust was rebuilt. Former enemies worked together, united in a cause greater than themselves. The path to recovery was long, but it was walked with renewed purpose and unwavering resolve. The dawn of a new era had begun, one shaped by the lessons learned in the fires of conflict. Alex Carter had become a symbol of hope, but more importantly, he had shown that when united, humanity could overcome anything. As the sun set on another day of progress and healing, Alex stood surrounded by friends, family, and allies. The past was a kaleidoscope of challenges and sacrifices, but the future was a canvas of endless possibilities. Together they had forged a new beginning, and together they would ensure that the light of hope never dimmed again. Chapter 12: A New Dawn. The sun rose over a world reborn, its golden rays illuminating landscapes that bore both the marks of past conflicts and the promise of new beginnings. The air was filled with the sounds of construction, laughter, and the harmonious rhythm of rebuilding. Though the scars of war remained, they were now part of a tapestry of resilience and hope. Alex stood on a hill overlooking a newly revitalized city. From here, he could see the intersections of old and new, where traditional Earth architecture melded seamlessly with advanced alien technologies repurposed for peace. It was a vision he could scarcely have dreamed of during the darkest days of the conflict. Emily joined him, her eyes reflecting the same awe and optimism. "It's incredible, isn't it?" she said softly. "Everything we hoped for, and more." "Yeah," Alex replied, a smile spreading across his face. "We've come a long way." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Sarah, Morgan, and Vireth. Each of them bore the signs of personal and collective growth that had defined their journey. "Morning," Sarah greeted, her voice carrying the strength of countless battles and the peace of newfound purpose. "We've got real progress down at the new spaceport." Morgan nodded, his eyes alight with the thrill of creation. "It's not just about rebuilding, we're setting the foundation for something even greater." Vireth, standing tall, gazed out at the horizon. "Your people inspire, our collaboration, a beacon." The spaceport was a testament to this unity, a bustling center where humans and aliens worked side by side. Ships, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial, moved gracefully in and out, each one a promise of exploration and understanding. "Who would have thought?" Alex mused. "A few years ago, we were fighting for survival. Now, we're planning voyages to the stars." Emily grinned. "And this time, we're venturing out with hope, not fear." As they made their way to the spaceport, the team passed through neighborhoods and communities that had flourished in the wake of their victory. Schools were filled with children who now learned about the universe with wonder, not dread. Markets thrived with goods from both Earth and allied alien worlds, a vibrant exchange emblematic of their new era. At the spaceport, they observed the launch preparations for the first interspecies expedition. The mission aimed to explore distant galaxies, fostering connections and seeking knowledge rather than conflict. Alex addressed the gathered team of explorers, a mix of seasoned veterans and eager newcomers. "Remember, this mission is not just about discovery. It's about showing the universe what humanity and our allies can achieve when united by common goals." The explorers nodded, their expressions a blend of determination and excitement. The gleaming hulls of their ships seemed to pulse with the energy of boundless potential. Martinez joined them, her face beaming with pride. "We've made incredible advancements with the help of our alien friends. This expedition will mark the beginning of a new chapter in our history. As the exploratory ships took off, trails of light streaking across the sky, Alex felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The journey had been arduous, fraught with losses and challenges, but it had led them to this moment, a dawn of collaborative exploration and shared dreams. Returning to the command center, Alex found Hawk finalizing plans for additional missions aimed at reconstruction and further alliances. She looked up as he entered, her eyes softening with admiration. "We've achieved something remarkable, Alex. It's because of people like you." He shook his head modestly. "It's because of all of us working together." In the months that followed, Earth's rebuilding efforts surged forward with unstoppable momentum. Communities thrived, and technological innovations saw unparalleled growth. New laws and institutions emerged, designed to foster unity and protect against the kind of devastation they had once faced. Alex, now a leading figure in the Global Council, dedicated his time to ensuring that the lessons learned from the conflict shaped a brighter, more inclusive future. He frequently visited schools, sharing stories of bravery and resilience, inspiring the next generation to reach for the stars. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Alex stood with Emily, Sarah, Morgan, and Vreth on that same hill where they had once looked out over the city. The sky was filled with a tapestry of stars, each one representing the uncharted possibilities that lay ahead. "We made it through the darkness," Emily said softly, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "And now we're heading into the light." Sarah raised a hand to point at a particularly bright star. "That's our next destination. I hear it's a world with potential for life." Morgan laughed. "Imagine the discoveries we'll make." Vreth bowed his head, his voice filled with a rare but genuine warmth. "Together." Alex took a deep breath, the air filled with the scent of blossoming life and renewal. "This is just the beginning. United, there's nothing we can't achieve." As they stood together, on the precipice of a future brimming with promise, the first exploratory ship entered the atmosphere from its mission, its lights blazing a trail across the night sky. It was a symbol of humanity's undying spirit, of their limitless drive to explore, learn, and thrive. In that moment, Alex understood that the quantum divide had not only been a battle between alien invaders and humanity, but a journey within themselves. Through unity, sacrifice, and hope, they had crossed that divide, emerging stronger and ready to forge a future where fear and conflict gave way to peace and cooperation. And so, with hearts full of hope and eyes fixed on the horizon, humanity and their allies embarked on the greatest journey of all, the quest to explore the universe, united in purpose, unyielding in their pursuit of a brighter tomorrow. The dawn of a new era had truly begun.